Okay, ladies, thank you so much for sharing on that, where you've been on your fibromyalgia journey. I heard some similar themes from everyone that the first part of our journey with fibromyalgia was very, very difficult. And where we are now, we're in different places. Some people are in a place of stability. Some people are still struggling with symptoms. Some people are struggling, like I have been, with other issues that cause pain. But, fibromyalgia acts like an amplifier for everything that is going on in our bodies. Cindy and I were talking about this earlier, that when she had the flu and gastritis, that the fibromyalgia kind of turned up the volume on those symptoms and made things worse. So, and where we're going is that we're looking forward to thriving. We're looking forward to doing the things that we want to do and continue to take care of our bodies. So this next part of our talk, I'm going to share one more slide, well, another slide with you. And this is my best approach to managing fibromyalgia. It's a holistic approach. Um, Sometimes it's called a biopsychosocial spiritual approach, but it's a lot easier just to say BEST. And BEST is an acronym that stands for our body or our physical well-being. E stands for emotions or our emotional and mental well-being. S stands for our social support network. And T stands for transcendence or spirituality, or the things that we value, the things that give us purpose in life. So we're going to do an exercise that uses this BEST approach. And what I'd like you to do is to pull out another piece of paper and write, not sure if you can see this, BEST down the side of your paper with some space in between each letter so that you can take some notes. So I'm going to stop sharing the screen and come back to the group. And we're going to talk about each of these aspects of well-being and just answer a couple of questions. So our physical health, our body, the B, addresses the primary and distinctive symptoms of fibromyalgia, which I call the big four, which is pain, fatigue, brain fog, and improving sleep. And of course, there's a lot of other symptoms that go along with fibromyalgia, but those are considered the major defining symptoms of fibromyalgia. So ask yourself, and this is the question I want you to answer on your paper, if your body could talk, what would it say to you right now, today? If your body could talk, what would it say to you? And we're going to go through the series of questions, and then we'll talk about it together. So your first question under B for body, physical well-being, is if my body could talk, what would it say to me today? So now going down to E, your emotional and mental well-being, which focuses on being aware and accepting and understanding of your thoughts and feelings, knowing how to manage stress, setting priorities, and knowing how to use coping strategies. Ask yourself this question: what is one way I could simplify my life? One way I could simplify my life that would support my emotional and mental well-being. And then S, your social support structure. Our social support gives us a feeling of belonging and connectedness. giving and receiving intimacy, compassionate love, and care. Ask yourself this question: who are the people who love and care for me no matter how I am feeling? Who are the people in my life that love and care for me no matter how I am feeling? You can make a quick list of those people. And then T, transcendence or transcendent spirituality. This involves having a sense of purpose, connecting to a higher power. It may be a religious expression, but it doesn't have to be. It's knowing your values and seeing life as a journey. Ask yourself this question: what is a one-word mantra I could repeat to myself that would create a sense of inner peace? What's a one-word mantra? Maybe it's your word for the year. Maybe it's a word that you use in prayer or meditation. What's a one-word mantra? And now I want you to look back over your list for your body, emotions, social support, and transcendence. And imagine that you're giving yourself a score from 0 to 10. With 10, you're doing great. 0 is you're really struggling with this area. And give each area, body, emotion, social support, and transcendence, a score. So you'll end up with 4 scores, and from 0 to 10. So score each item. And it can be just how you're feeling today, or you could think over the last week or so. And this is just a snapshot in time, so you don't have to agonize over your score. It can be just whatever sounds right in this moment. And then I'm going to ask you to do one more task before we talk about this. What is one small, like mini action step that you could take in one of these areas to move yourself forward? Like maybe you do need to schedule that massage, or maybe you do need to make that doctor appointment to take care of your body. Maybe you need to get up and stretch like we just did. And I'm really glad you did that, Cindy, because I needed to stretch too. For your emotions, maybe maybe you need to do some journaling to figure out what you're feeling, to determine what your priorities are in this next season of your life. For social support, maybe you could just text that friend or actually call that friend that you've been thinking about but haven't talked to in a long time. Maybe it means joining a group at your in your neighborhood or in your place of worship. Coming to this meeting today is part of social support for sure. So you can count that. And then for your transcendence or spiritual life, what would make you feel more connected to something bigger than yourself? Do you need to set aside some time to pray or to meditate or be with like-minded people in a meditation group or a church Bible study or something? Pick one small action item that feels really doable to you. And maybe you were going to do it already, and this is just giving you the extra energy to go ahead and do that. Okay, so you should have the answers to your questions. You should have a score for each area, and then you should have identified one small action step. So let's talk about this. What was your highest score? What was your lowest score? Um, which question really resonated with you? I don't think we have time to talk about everybody's answers to every single question, but give us the highlights. What really stood out to you as you were doing this exercise and maybe share with us your action item that you decided on. Who'd like to share?
I guess I could start again.
Thanks, Cheryl. I'm
Um,
counting on you to start.
my top one is social. I got 10 on that because I
Great.
have a lot of support. A
That's
lot of
awesome.
support from my husband, my kids, my grandkids, my friends, this group. Um, so my body could use a little bit of you know, extra
Attention.
kick.
Yeah, yeah.
The word I put was ouch because I've been feeling more painful last week. And again, I probably should make that massage appointment. And my
Yeah.
daughter does facials, so maybe I'll go get one from her again soon. Social, I said, is emotional. I maybe relax more. I keep going and going and going. And the mantra, believe it or not, is relax.
I
That's
love that. Oh, that's
so.
so great. Thank you so much for sharing, Cheryl. Who would like to share next?
Yeah.
Mary Ann.
Okay. Um, I put that my body was getting better, but it still hurt. I put a 8, but I don't know if that would be right or
Well, it's just what feels right to you today.
yeah, yeah. And what kept on coming up was our church family for S&T. So my husband and I, due to my husband having cervical surgeries and he's in agony, and
Mm,
me with healing from my surgeries, is this Sunday we're going back to church to see our church family.
that's great.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love the smile on your face as you anticipate that. I can tell those
Yeah,
people are important to you.
they're so fantastic.
Ah, that's great to
And
have a
call a
community
friend.
like that. And
Yeah,
what?
and call a friend. I
Call
like
a
that.
friend.
That was good.
That's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Who else would like to share?
I guess I'll share. Um, Definitely the lower score was probably between the B and the E, but I think
Okay.
they're about both the same. For the
Okay.
B part, the body, I have to not sit too much. I have to stretch. That's one of my biggest downfalls. So that's what I have to do and continue moving because, as all of you ladies know, if you don't move, even if you don't feel good, like if you're down with an illness or something, that your body just gets stiff all over and it aggravates your osteoarthritis, fibromyalgia, all that stuff.
Absolutely.
I lesson learned the hard way from a couple times to the chiropractor and stuff, and I've just been working on. I have to improve on that area. The E, I need to meditate more and try not to stress over little things like the weather or power outages or things that can
Mhm.
trigger stress, which will increase pain. So I have to learn how to just let it all go and just live in the
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
the highest score was probably the support. I got a 10 on that one because I have support from my family, my friends, this group especially, and just everybody else. And I just love being a leader, and I hope I'm doing a great job. I've been doing this for like almost 5 years. Wait, has it been almost 5 years now? Yeah, because it's going to be in June this year. That's going to be 5 years. So and that's all for right now. So I hope I did a good job on my little survey there.
Yeah, I really like that. I'm inspired by some of the things that you mentioned. Who else would like to share? Kathy. Oh, Kathy, you're muted.
See, okay,
There
okay,
you are.
hi.
Now we can hear you.
Sorry. My highest score was also social, because I do have a lot of great support. You know, this group, my daughter, and I have a cousin and I have uh, somebody's trying to call in. Let me just get rid of that. Anyway, and I have other people, that fit that category perfectly. So that's great. The next highest is the mantra, the transcendence is 9 for me because I've already been using calm or peace as words to
They're
just
great
sort
words to
of
use.
focus on, do some breathing, okay.
You bet.
Then the lowest score was, body stuff. I mean, that all, especially this time of year, it's just really challenging. And I'm like you, Robin. I probably ought to live in a warmer climate because the winter just gets worse and worse. And I used to live in Florida for 36 years. I mean, I grew up here and went down there and came back. But some of my health conditions don't do well in the heat at
Yes.
all. I mean, it just, there's pros and cons both ways. But overall, for 8, 9 months out of the year, the Michigan weather that we have is pretty tolerable. It's just a few of the winter months that are just really, really awful.
Yeah, it's hard to find an ideal climate because fibro bodies tend not to like temperature extremes. That's for sure.
Exactly. That's exactly it. So, so that was a really interesting little survey for, to see how think of things to do to be better. So,
Thanks for sharing. Who else is left? Dorothy and Mary Lou? Dorothy? Oh, you're muted, Dorothy.
So my highest was also the social aspect because I do have a lot of support from my husband, kids, and friends, and my Bible group and Bible study. So I gave myself a 10 on that. My lowest one was the B, and I have to find ways to improve my sleep. That's what I struggle with. I have insomnia a lot. Sometimes I'm restless because of the pain. Sometimes it's because my mind won't stop. So I have to find ways to improve sleep, and a couple of things that do help is exercise, regular exercise, and massage. So that, and then my one word mantra would be breathe. Sometimes I don't stop and breathe enough and just relax, try to relax and just breathe.
I know.
Yeah. And
go
then
ahead.
last, my E was to realize that everything doesn't have to be perfect. Sometimes I think I'm too much of a perfectionist, and everything is not going to be perfect. Sometimes good enough is good enough. So
that's right. That's right. That's right. Yeah. Thanks. Thank you so much. And Mary Lou, did you want to share?
No, I just really prefer just to listen to everyone else.
Okay, that's great.
Really a learning experience.
Yes, of course. Yeah, I'm so glad you're here and participating. So, where are we at on our time, Cindy?
Right now it's 2:27 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and the timer didn't pop up yet on my screen, so I think we still have a little bit left.
We still have a little bit of time. Okay, so thanks so much for doing this exercise with me. I like to do this exercise kind of frequently to just check in with myself and see what I need to focus on. Like a lot of you, I feel like I really spend a lot of time cultivating my social support. And I also have to spend a lot of time taking care of my body. So that makes sense to me, all the things that you've shared, and I really appreciate that. So I'm going to share one more slide, and we have one more activity to do, and we'll see how far we get before we need to switch to another Zoom link.
Oh, one more thing before we do that. I think we lost Janet Cheryl. I didn't see her pop back into the room unless she had an appointment or something. That's okay though.
Yeah, hopefully if she can come back, we can let her right back in. So this next topic or this next exercise we're going to do is a mindful self-compassion exercise. And the mindful self-compassion research comes out of Dr. Kristen Neff and Dr. Christopher Germer's work. Perfect. Cindy is holding up Dr. Neff's first book called Self-Compassion, and it's a classic. It's a great book for everybody to have on their shelf. And then there's also a workbook that I use a lot in my work with my fibromyalgia clients. So I'm going to just talk for a minute about these three components or pillars of mindful self-compassion. You can think of mindful self-compassion as inner strength training that creates fertile ground for problem solving, change, and healing. And that the three pillars of mindful self-compassion work together to create loving, connected presence. So, I was first introduced to mindful self-compassion during a continuing education class I took many, many years ago. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that later. But it had a profound effect on me and caused me to realize how important this work is. We can be confident in using mindful self-compassion exercises because there have been over 8,000 research studies that have been conducted that link the practice of mindful self-compassion with greater life satisfaction, well-being, and physical health. So the first component of mindful self-compassion is something most of us are familiar with called mindfulness. Mindfulness provides the space for practicing compassion. It's the practice of being present in the moment. Excuse me, being aware and accepting of what is. Get a little bit of my tea with honey here and hope that my voice doesn't give out on me. So it allows us to be with difficult feelings as they are without suppressing them or without allowing them to run away with us. In other words, without diminishing them, but without exaggerating them. And we can absorb and observe our negative thoughts and emotions with openness and clarity. So, as I mentioned, I was introduced to this concept in a CE class, and the following week, I hadn't really thought much about it, but I was standing in front of this bookcase that's behind me. I was bending down to get something. I was troubled about something. And this phrase from mindful self-compassion, "This is a moment of suffering," popped into my head. And I realized it was from that CE class. And it just stunned me to have that inner acknowledgement that I was struggling with something. This is a moment of suffering. And so I just sat down in front of my bookcase and gave myself a moment to be mindful about what I was experiencing, and then to practice the next two elements or pillars of mindful self-compassion, which we'll talk about in a moment, recognizing that my common humanity, others were suffering as well, and then offering myself some kindness in the midst of my struggle. So it was such a powerful experience for me. I realized that these concepts had lodged in my unconscious and they were readily available for me to explore. So I found that this is one of the most powerful aspects of my coaching work with fibromyalgia clients is learning these concepts. And so the second concept is our common humanity. And this is referring to the fact that all of life is imperfect, that everyone suffers at different levels and through different types of suffering. And sometimes, especially when we're dealing with fibromyalgia and chronic illness, we can become isolated and get caught up in the feeling as if I'm the only one who's suffering. No one anywhere understands how bad I feel. I've been there, haven't you? Feeling like I'm all alone and no one gets it. But actually, when we zoom out and realize that everyone suffers from being flawed and imperfect, it's just part of the human condition. All suffering is not the same, for sure, but all human suffering is worthy of compassion. We're not alone. We're not isolated. We share a common humanity. We only have to look around to see that others suffer at times, and we all struggle to come to terms with that suffering, but we do have a choice in how we respond. And so finally, self-kindness provides the warmth of self-compassion. This is treating ourselves the way we would treat a close friend. Think for a moment about how you would respond to a friend who was discouraged and feeling badly about herself. Would you light into her with harsh criticism and blame? No, of course we wouldn't. We know how to offer our friends kind, attentive warmth and care, holding space for deep listening and sharing concern from a desire to alleviate suffering. Of course, we know how to support a friend who is distressed and struggling. We have a template for that. But unfortunately, most people are more supportive of their friends than they are to themselves. We already know how to be compassionate with ourselves, with others. We just need to shift that kindness to ourselves. So I'm going to stop the share right now and come back to our group. And we're going to do one of the self-compassion exercises that I use with all my clients. And this is one that they've found to be really helpful. So I'll be really interested to see how it lands with all of you. So this is called Soften, Soothe, Allow, Working with Difficult Emotions. And actually, I think, did I create whoops, in the wrong place. No, that was the last one. I didn't have sorry about that. I didn't have a slide for that. So there are 3 parts to this exercise: labeling an emotion, mindfulness of the emotion in the body, and then we're going to practice this soften, soothe, allow experience. So when we're living with chronic pain and chronic illness, we can have a lot of uncomfortable feelings in our body, right? And we can have a lot of difficult emotions. That just kind of comes with the territory. But sometimes they're very diffuse and we don't know exactly how we're feeling or exactly what is causing the discomfort. And this is where being mindful can be really helpful. So let's do just a really brief body scan, kind of start at the top of your head and take your awareness down through your head and your chest and your torso and the front of your legs, and then maybe bring your attention to the back of your back, your spine, and your buttocks, and the back of your legs down to your feet. And just notice if there's a difficult emotion that is coming up for you or a difficult sensation in your body. And as I mentioned earlier, don't pick the worst thought or the worst feeling or the worst sensation. Pick something kind of in the moderate range because we're practicing here. And it's okay if you experience some resistance. We're just kind of walking through an exercise here and it might not be completely comfortable. That's okay. Just do the best you can. So begin by noticing an emotion and then see if it's associated with any particular body part. Like it's really typical for the women I work with to say, oh, my shoulders and my neck are really tight, because we know that's so common in fibromyalgia. But sometimes people will feel like they have a tight chest, or maybe their stomach is kind of in a knot. So if you want to, you can put your hands on the body part, over your heart, over your tummy, over your shoulders, if you want to, and just notice what you're experiencing there. And then maybe give the emotion that's associated with it a name. Like, a lot of people experience stress or fear or anger or disappointment or confusion, longing, grief, despair, shame, lots and lots of different emotions. So as you're doing your body scan, trying to hone in on a body part and emotion, just say to yourself, aha, that's longing. I live a long ways away from most of my kids and grandkids, and sometimes I do feel a real sense of longing for my family. And it can manifest as kind of a sadness in my chest. So give yourself a moment to name an emotion and in a particular location in your body. And now what we're going to do is practice softening. So for example, if it's your shoulders that are tight, what I want you to do is imagine letting the muscles soften. You could sort of think about if you were under a shower or in a warm bath or in a hot tub, and you can say to yourself, softening, softening, softening. And we're not trying to change the way we're feeling. We're just trying to increase our awareness and hold that awareness in a tender way. And you could also say, I'm feeling tension, I'm feeling stress, I'm feeling sadness. And just let it soften. Maybe even around the edges, because sometimes when our muscles get tight, they just are not going to let go very easily. But you can just observe and see what happens. And now let's go on to the word soothing. And here, this again is a good opportunity to touch your body part gently and kindly with the warmth of your hands, if that feels good to you. And just feel that gentle touch, imagining warmth and kindness flowing from your hands or just flowing into your body. And you can repeat the words soothing, soothing, soothing. So soften and soothing, and just being with that difficult emotion, that difficult sensation. And now, what would you say to a friend who was in distress? Maybe you would say, I'm so sorry you're struggling, or I'm so sorry you're feeling this badly. I care so much for you. Now imagine saying that to yourself. Imagine saying that to your body part. For example, to my shoulders. Hey, shoulders, you help hold me up and I appreciate what you're doing. I'm so sorry you're feeling so burdened and so tense. And then you can follow up by saying, allowing, allowing. I'm just going to be with you the way you are. And then you can put all three words together. Soften, soothe, allow. Soften, soothe, allow. I'm going to grab a cough drop because I feel like my voice is getting ready to give out here. So now you can let this practice go. Thank your body and your emotions for participating. Take a breath or two, and I think we have enough time. Well, we can start our discussion and then we'll do our last Zoom link, right, Cindy?
Yes, but I think we're down to 1 minute and
Oh, okay.
51 seconds. So I don't know if we have
All
enough
right, so
time
let's
now.
save our discussion for when we come back in just a couple of minutes. I'll see you on the other side.
Yep. See you.